Hello and welcome to the Little Historians Magazine TV. Today we're going to be teaching you some ancient Greek mythology basic facts. But before we do that, make sure to like and subscribe so you stay tuned with the rest of our videos. Let's go!
In ancient Greece, they worshipped gods and heroes, and their stories give us Greek mythology or myths. And these myths have been passed down and survived over 2,000 years of history. The ancient Greeks would pass down their stories just by telling them to their children, and they built huge temples dedicated to the gods, which is where they would go to worship. Kind of like a church today.
In ancient Greece, 12 Olympian gods were worshipped alongside heroes, and it is these stories that give us Greek mythology, myths that are actually similar to other ancient cultures. The stories teach us lots of different things, such as how the world was created and why things happen. There's stories of monsters and bravery and strength and kindness. Pretty much anything you'd want to know is covered in Greek mythology.
Before the 12 Olympian gods had power, they had to overthrow their parents, the Titans. The leader of the Titans was Kronos with his wife, Rhea, and they had the first 6 children. But Kronos was so scared that he was going to be overthrown that he swallowed the first 5. But luckily, Rhea saved the last one, Zeus, who would eventually grow up and make his father throw up his siblings, which would start a 10-year war, which eventually the Olympians won, and the Titans were banished to Tartarus in the underworld.
In ancient Greek mythology, there were 12 main gods that were worshipped. But who were they?
Zeus was king of the gods and god of the sky, who had lots of demigod children with other women. Hera, his wife, was the goddess of marriage, who was always angry with Zeus for having lots of other children. Poseidon, their brother, was the god of the sea and horses. He created storms and earthquakes. Athena was the goddess of wisdom and war, but also crafting, and she's very tactical and strategic. Artemis was the goddess of the hunt and the wilderness, and she later becomes associated with the moon. Aphrodite is the goddess of love, beauty and pleasure, and she's often accompanied by her son, Eros, the winged godling of love. Demeter was the goddess of agriculture, like grain or looking after the earth, and the harvest, which was very important. Apollo, or Apollon, was the god of prophecy, oracles and music. Ares, similar to Athena, was the god of war, but this time of courage. Hermes was the god of travellers and thieves, and he was the messenger for the gods. Hephaestus was the god of blacksmiths, volcanoes, carpenters and metalworking, and he was married to Aphrodite. And the last is debated between Dionysus, the god of wine and madness or festivals, and Hestia, the goddess of the hearth and the home. But most of the time it's Dionysus on the list, because Hestia is counted as one of the other Olympian gods, along with those who are considered the secondary set. How rude.
And they were all gods and goddesses of other things. We just thought we'd tell you their main key part of their role. Also, we mustn't forget Hades, the god of the underworld, as a key god. Although he is Zeus and Poseidon's brother, he isn't counted as an Olympian because he ruled over the underworld.
There's also heroes and monsters in Greek mythology, and of course there's loads of stories, but here's a few. Let's start with Theseus as our first hero. Underground in Crete, in Knossos, was a labyrinth that had a minotaur in it, which was a half-bull, half-man monster. And children would get lost in the labyrinth all the time, and they would be eaten by the monster. So one day, Theseus went into the labyrinth and killed the monster, and he even managed to escape because he very cleverly took a ball of string with him, which led him all the way back out of the labyrinth. Heracles, who you might know as Hercules, had lots of different battles with monsters to face. One of them was against the Hydra, a 9-headed serpent creature, and every time he chopped off a head, 2 more would spring up in his place. And it was looking quite tough for Hercules, but his friend showed up with a flaming torch, and luckily they managed to defeat the Hydra. And Medusa was a terrifying gorgon with snakes for hair, but of course you know all about that if you've watched our craft video on how to make a mask of her. Now Perseus is the hero of this story, and he was sent by the king to kill her, but if you look at her, you turn to stone. So he wore a helmet of invisibility and used the reflection in his shield to find her, but he also snuck up on her when she was asleep, so it's not that much of a battle. He then beheads her and wins. Thank you so much for watching. We do hope you've enjoyed. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and get your grown-ups to head to thelittleshistoriansmagazine.com to get your copy of the Ancient Greek edition. Bye bye!